Welcome to Running It Back, the lessons learned from sports podcast. Mike Palmer here, joined as always by Tarlin Ray. Last time we got together, we were talking about the Luka AD trade, among other things. We're now going to talk more basketball. We're going to get into Court of Gold, which is now on Netflix. The filmmakers who made The Last Dance are back, this time covering the Parisian Olympics and the NBA players who were over there, Team USA, Team Serbia, Team France, among others.
And Team Canada.
And Team Canada, early exit there. Team Germany, there was a Dennis Schroeder sighting. But Tarlin, how are you doing? I think it's official now. I don't know if we've announced this on Running It Back, but you have founded an executive coaching company.
I have my own executive coaching company. It's called the People Genius.
Yes.
So I have been talking to a few coaches in the field and trying to match sort of the way that I work with executives to just the way I think. So I thought we were going to go there because we were talking about you're a ENT, you're a big intuit.
I'm heavy, intuitive, heavy perceiving, baby. Don't judge me.
I'm an ENTJ. So we're going to talk about that, which is why maybe we get along. But this is not what they came here for.
No.
They came here to talk hoops.
Got to give the people what they want. You're talking coaching. You got to start with Steve Kerr, who's the coach of Team USA. Court of Gold. This podcast started during the throes of the pandemic back in 2020. Tarlin was laid up with an Achilles problem, was rehabbing. I was stuck in Brooklyn while we were toasting our frontline workers every evening at 7 o'clock.
Doctors and nurses, bang your pants.
You could even hear that in the background for some of those early episodes when we were breaking down a little something I like to call The Last Dance. Fast forward 5 years, the next iteration of that is this amazing 6-episode documentary called Court of Gold. It's on Netflix.
Best sports doc I've ever watched.
Best sports docuseries Tarlin has ever watched. I think it's got to be up there for me. I don't know. I haven't ranked them. It's certainly worth watching. It's the best thing on Netflix right now. 6 episodes culminating with the insanity the chef was cooking in Paris. Paris is known for haute couture and some,
the French is going to come out.
Some fancy food. Chef Curry was putting some bébé to dormir. Where do you want to go, buddy? Where do you want to go with this?
It's interesting. Last Dance was special because of the nostalgia factor. You know, we can harken back to when we were in high school, college, following the amazing Jordan team. So it was one of those, I'm someone, if you watch a movie, I have to go a few years before you watch it again because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It was special because it just brought you back. So many emotions.
I'm looking at it here. It has a 97 rating on Rotten Tomatoes. A couple of tough critics over there. The East German judges clearly didn't like it. And
Serbian.
Scottie Pippen probably voters against it on Rotten Tomatoes. 9 out of 10 for The Last Dance on IMDb.
So that was amazing for Last Dance. We knew this is only 6 months later. We know 7 months. We know exactly what happened in the Olympics. We know who won.
Yeah.
We know how close it was. Close. And we beat up on Serbia in the early point. It was close later.
And just for our listeners out there, for those of you who were hiding, or if you were on the lam last summer and you've been ignoring basketball, but you've happened onto this podcast, we're talking about basketball. There's a docuseries called Court of Gold. It's going to tell you everything that happened in the Paris basketball tournament, but it's going to set up like you don't know the outcome, which kind of makes it a little more interesting to watch. There's this whole concept of dramatic irony when the characters don't know what's coming, but you do. So it's a pretty compelling watch. And then the ending, the semifinals and the finals. I mean, the emotional experience of watching this series, it's pretty deep. And then you're talking about coaching. That's why I was mentioning the Steve Kerr part, what he can do with this crowd. And we're talking LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and others,
but those are top three.
So
after losing the world championship with a different set of players, including your guy Brunson, all of a sudden the major stars from the NBA on their own text chain, raising their hand saying, we're going to do this.
Reminiscing, it reminded me of the Redeem Team, which will include a link to our Redeem Team episode too, which I think is just one documentary about a similar thing that happened in 2008 after we lost in 2004, when one Kobe Bryant got tired of the U.S. losing and decided to actually change what was going to happen. There's a legendary interaction with his boy, Pau Gasol. That's almost like an interlude between The Last Dance and Court of Gold. So that's another recommendation I think we would make. But this is also Steph Curry's first Olympics, which is kind of blows your mind that he got to 36 without ever being on the U.S. team.
Pride is a big thing. You got all the accolades in the world, but he's playing for country and pride. You have Durant, who's going for the all-time leading scorer in Olympics history, men and women, already has 3 golds.
Yeah.
LeBron is back, and watching, and you don't get to see the Spolsters in the world, but watching what Kerr, having to deal with big personalities, is doing to get this team ready when the United States is often coming together. They only come together for 3 weeks. I actually had a chance I texted you. I happened to be in Vegas for my daughter's club volleyball tournament. It was about 113 degrees. That's an exaggeration. I got to see the U.S. play Canada. And those are the sort of the warm-up games before they go, and they're playing teams that have been together.
Those are friendlies.
Those are friendlies. Teams that have been together like Serbia and others for years. And it's funny to see the way that the U.S. team reacts to chemistry. Durant is a salty dude in this doc, and you love to see it. And then also how you're mixing and matching personality. So
and by the way, we were recording this right before the Oscars, and I would say if I was going to give awards out, I would say Steph is kind of the leading man, so he wins like best basketball player in Court of Gold, and I would say KD wins best supporting actor because like he cries about how much he loves basketball. He hugs on his mom multiple times. Like he gives of himself. He talks a lot of shit in the back of like chauffeured rides around Paris and whatnot. And he kind of keeps it real. Noticeably omitted from any of my awards is one LeBron James.
100%. So kudos to Michelle and Barack, the executive producers on this, who got all access. The reason this is gold, the reason Last Dance was special is like, where'd you get this? Where'd you get the film?
Right.
Where Jordan's playing quarters, and you get to see the behind the scenes. This access is amazing. You're calling out Steph, Durant. I loved actually seeing that it wasn't about LeBron, and you could just see his effort. But the reason this was special is guys who are third tier in the NBA, all world players, are major players in the Olympics. So like you go to Evan Fournier.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams. He was on the Knicks for a while.
I remember.
He averages 13 a game.
Yeah.
Fournier calls out the French team after losing, basically saying, we'll never win with this coach's philosophy, just playing defense. Now, granted, they actually did continue on with defense, but you just show the fight, and that guy hit some big time shots. He backed up.
France had a lot in terms of the characters. Nicholas Batum, he would probably be nominated for best support because Batum, Bogdanovich,
Bogdanovich. I like Alexa I can't pronounce it. Abramovich, who is the point guard for Serbia. You see that they talk about the world has caught up to the United States. These are guys who no one averages more than 13, 3 and 3 in the NBA, shooting about 45%, but they are not scared. And in their country, Bogdanovich is the captain of his team.
He does the equivalent of what KD did. He set the scoring record for Team
Serbia. Batum has been playing. He was found by the coach of the French team, and basically playing with that French team and for this coach for 20 years.
And then Batum, you also hear about how he saw his dad have a stroke on the
court and still grew
and
up
still
playing.
played. I mean, the level to which you really, and like Jokic is just so charismatic as just the leader of the Serbian team, and like how his style of play and just his like authentic humanity is like all of his teammates just love that guy. Like it's kind of uncanny. I like to talk about intangibles, like his court sense and ability to kind of be the guy without being a dick about it is kind of next level.
So you already see that, right? When you listen, it either Shea or Joker. You look
Yeah,
at Joker's stats, it's off the chart.
right.
Triple double. Yes, they have 10 more losses than Oklahoma City, but either one great. So you
Right.
already see that, but he is playing with some talented Serbian players, but nowhere close to what the US
Right.
has.
Right.
And he is not the captain, but you see how he drives the team. So it's fun to see the joy, and there's a lot of pride because he
Yeah.
really wants to beat the US team. You have guys, I mentioned Fournier, who I know you Knicks fans crapped all over him. You couldn't
Yes, I
wait
would
to get
I'd still crap on him. I don't care how
right,
good he was in that documentary. He wasn't
right,
actually for the Knicks.
sure. But you also crapped all over RJ Barrett. And RJ
Yeah.
Barrett has a backstory whose dad played in the Olympics with Steve Nash and they got
Yeah.
bounced.
For the
Right.
team that didn't make it to the medal round. Yeah.
Correct. But he is looked at as the guy. They need RJ Barrett to
I
play
mean, SGA
outside
is
of
the guy.
Shea. I
SGA is the
understand.
guy.
Outside of Shea, but he is a key piece.
Oh, and Dylan Brooks, who they try to make look
He's still a punk ass, so I'm
less
sorry.
annoying.
Yeah, they say fix his comb over, whatever's going on with his head. So, bottom line, the Axis is amazing. On the edge of your seat, worried, especially with a Team USA is down 10, 12,
Yeah.
run, seeing the plays that, Steph in the heat of the battle, when everything's going wrong and you're trying to figure out the play to run, Steph is like, just, yeah, we're going to run this play.
And
And
there's Zen Master type mental focus stuff from both Kerr, but then especially Steph around like when the game's going the wrong way, he like focuses on his breathing. He like goes to a different place. He talks about positive self-talk, how a lot of it is just in your mind. And then one other note on Steph too is I think the FIBA ball showcases his ball rotation better. Because when you see that in super slow-mo, these shots, unbelievable. And then the footage, like it reminded me a little bit of like NFL films growing up, where the balletic catches of Lynn
yep.
Swan and like the way it makes the game, it sort of showcases the beauty of the game in a way that real time can't. Because I remember, there were like mediocre actual NBA games on while I was watching Court of Gold, and I didn't want to second screen it. I just wanted to lock in and watch the beauty of what unfolded. Also, I'd say Wemby had a nice appearance, and shout out to him where he's going through some things got real around his blood clot and not being able to play the rest of the season at the same time that Coach Pop isn't coming back and, off his stroke. So like there is some serious stuff kind of layered in there when you think about the story of Team France, as I like to say. And, it ended with sort of the baton being passed to Wemby. Looks like he'll probably be able to pick it up. He'll bounce back. Pretty compelling stuff. I would also say SGA jumps off the screen, even though Team Canada crapped the bed pretty good. Like they lost to Germany and they didn't even make it to the medal round.
Everyone should watch it. It got me thinking a couple things. How do you fix what's going on in the NBA, especially the All-Star game?
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see international versus the United States. Will they care as much? There's just a pride. There's the pride factor.
Coming off the Four Nation Challenge,
Yeah, okay. Everyone who's a hockey fan, they're like great. People were saying it's the equivalent of the Olympics, and everyone who's a hockey fan, like, or the Stanley Cup, and they're like, give me a break. So hockey fans are like, stop gassing it up. I would like to see international versus the US. It means that to players that would typically not make the team may not make the team, and international players make it. Or I do like from a pride factor, because that's what you saw
that
in spades, is Durant and others say, I'll do the $1 million one-on-one challenge. Where they
right.
play one-on-one to see who is the better. Because that's basically what the NBA is right now. Everyone just goes one-on-one. You can break a man down, either take it to the hole or bounce out for a three.
So here's my pitch. And the way you fix All-Star Weekend is you have them play horse. I mean, that wouldn't fix it alone. But A, why wouldn't they play?
Everyone can play horse.
Everybody can play horse. And I will say, as parent of a 6-year-old, we happened to go to the Barclays Center to see the Globetrotters.
That's basically what the NBA All-Star Game was.
They put on a heck of a show, except like their trick shots. They must have been shooting like 7% on their trick shots. And then I go to Court of Gold and Steph, like from anywhere in the building, anytime, it's just a whole nother level, you know? So yeah, and then any other thoughts on All-Star Weekend? Because we wanted to get into the buckets trade. And we wanted to close off on Court of Gold. Court of Gold, everybody go check it out.
It's why I understand. So you get what's happening with football internationally. Why you have countries, you have regions that are fully vested in their teams. I think from a NFL standpoint, they have that more than I think you have in the NBA, just rabid fans. I think you have a little hockey. So how do you bring back, moment where all these guys are making so much money, they don't want to get hurt, like you just got to pique their pride factor. And the dunk contests back in the day was the way you showed who was better than the other guy.
Until McClung just took over.
Which may spark Morant, John, others are coming out saying, hey, there's a pride factor. So that is what you saw. Everything was on the line. Wimby crying at the end.
It was a lot of man tears. If you like your man tears, a lot of man right up there.
So invested in what happened. So huge, big fans.
And who were the filmmakers again? We should give them a shout out. Let me look at it.
I just know the executive producers were those. It was the Obamas.
The Obamas, and actually cold-blooded appearance by one Barack Obama in like episode 1 or 2. Episode 2. Interesting, in the casting, they list Steph and KD as the main characters.
They did have some shine.
And Victor. I think that's fair. I think that's right.
Fair.
Don't you also think it was a little bit that LeBron, since his production company wasn't running it,
I think he was almost shying away from the camera.
He was kind of sitting back and kind of letting it be about whoever really felt the need for it to be about them.
Just one question for you, because Kerr, sitting in front of the team, said, listen, this room is full of Hall of Famers.
Right.
Did you cringe a little because you love Tyrese Halliburton so much?
God, Halliburton is so clearly doesn't belong there. It's crazy. Between him and Joel Embiid, who had like 5 minutes of quality play in the semifinals. And that was about it. And then the rest of the time, you're like, oh, you're still here? Same thing for Anthony Davis. Oh, you're still here? Meanwhile, Bam.
No, Anthony Davis. Bam. Anthony Davis played like a man, which is all Laker fans wished that was the Anthony Davis we had.
Yeah, Nico Harrison saw something apparently. Court of Gold, go check it out. We'll keep talking basketball. We'll keep running it back. Tarlin, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining.
Pleasure.
And we'll be back again soon. This is Running It Back.